my name is Sophia. Welcome back to my channel, Love to Book. So this is the Martian book versus movie review, and I've read this book for BookTube-A-Thon 2016, and in my wrap-up I saying I might do a video with my opinion on the book versus the movie, what I liked better, what I didn't really like, the differences that I saw, and all those shenanigans. So here it is. This video is not to be taken seriously, guys. Literally just my opinion and some of the difference that I happened to see while I was watching the movie.
Now, in the big scheme of things, does my opinion really matter? I don't think so. So let's not all lose our shit.
So the book was written by Andy Weir and the movie was directed by Scott Ridley. This is the story about Mark Watney. He's an astronaut and he's left behind during a storm in Mars because his crew members, they thought he was dead and they had to leave. And then the book just kind of follows Watney and his journey trying to survive, get back to Earth, get back home, safe and sound, where everyone's waiting for him. Firstly, I'm gonna talk about the good and the bad things that I thought about the book, then the good and the bad things that I thought about the movie, and lastly, I'm gonna be talking about the differences that I saw between the book and the movie. It just things that I saw, it's not good or bad, just it is what it is. So the good things about the book. Number one is it isn't like melodramatic. It could be. I mean, this is a guy alone in Mars left to die. So it isn't melodramatic, which I really appreciate because I cannot do melodramaticness, if that's not a word, I think, but yeah. I cannot take it. I'm not saying that it has the exact amount of drama in the book. I'm just saying that it doesn't overflow with emotional crap. The second point that I want to mention is there isn't like one single character in this book that I don't like. You know, the human race in this book is like, we're not the bad guys, so it's nice. My third point is I just love that our main character just doesn't give up. And that's wonderful, to have a character that is that strong. He's alone on this planet in a very scary, literal sense of what the world alone means. And he refuses to give up.
He's all like, you know what, fuck you, Mars, I'm gonna make it, and that's nice.
My fourth point is that I really admire the effort that was put into this book to make sure like that all the science stuff kind of checks out and we know how things actually work, which is fantastic. But that also leads me to the bad things of this book, which are, first one is, and I might be contradicting myself a little bit here, there is way too many explanations of how things work and all the numbers and mathematics that Watney has to do to solve all these problems. It's way too much. It can be exhausting, at least for me. One thing that I have to give to the author is that it's not hard to follow all this stuff, but it's overwhelming at times. Maybe if there was like a healthy balance between all this science stuff and Watney's emotional development throughout the story, it would have been fine, but that doesn't really happen. Which leads me to my second point, which is Watney doesn't feel compelling or real to me. I felt like the author gave much more care and attention to all the science stuff in the book than the way the main character comes across to us. I mean, he kind of lacks emotional response to all like the crazy bad shit that's going on around him. And although I do appreciate his humor, it made me laugh several times, but for some things it didn't feel natural. The third point that I want to mention is I never felt like Watney wouldn't make it. I knew that whatever happened, whatever like crazy things happened, I knew Watney would somehow fix it and I knew that Watney would somehow go back home. And part of it is because in the book I never felt like a real and excruciating sense of danger because everything is brushed off with a joke. And apparently that's how Watney reacts to situations. And they like bring a psychologist to explain how Watney works under pressure and all that stuff, which is fine, but at all times that's how he works. Like there's no emotional response again to whatever's happening. He just makes jokes about it constantly and that just I couldn't connect.
You know, I didn't have that connection.
Now my fourth bad point, and it's the last one I swear, is reading about the crew back on Hermes and everyone back on Earth was much more enjoyable to me than reading about Watney back on Mars. And that for me is a bad thing because he's our main character, and that lets me know that I don't really care that much. I mean, I want him to go home safe and sound. I just don't necessarily want to be with him every step of the way, and I think that's bad. Next, I'm gonna be talking about the good things and the bad things about the movie, and I'm gonna start with the good things. The first point that I want to mention is what I enjoyed Watney so much more in the movie than in the book. In the movie, he's played by Matt Damon, and he did an amazing job. He was much more compelling, and although he still had like the main traits that book Watney has, he just felt more real and convincing as someone who's, you know, stranded in Mars alone fighting for his survival. So secondly, the imagery in the movie is wonderful at portraying how small and alone Watney is on Mars, and it's also really good at showing how vast the universe is. And that for me kind of lacked in the book, and definitely we got it on the movie, so that was really good. Lastly, they toned out all the explanation and the mathematics that goes into like how things work, and they really focus on the characters on the movie, and that really allows us not only to root for Watney but truly care for him as well. And I think that's one of the main reasons that I really like the movie better. It's because of the characters. Now I'm gonna move on to the bad things that I thought about the movie. First one, you might think it's funny, but for me it's freaking not. Airlocks. Yes, airlocks.
I had to go through the whole book hearing Watney ramble about the importance of airlocks. I mean, yay for standardized airlocks, right? In the movie, the word airlock doesn't cross his lips once.
Trust me, because I counted. There were 6 times that they say the word airlock, but it's not Watney who says it. And it's not that important anyway. So that was disappointed. So the second point, I think is the one that bothers me the most, and that is Vincent Kapoor in the movie. Now, don't get me wrong, I really like the actor that played Vincent Kapoor, and I think he did an amazing job, like 5 out of 5 stars, seriously. But putting that aside, because it really has nothing to do with the actor himself, it's just why is not an Indian man playing that role? Because he is supposed to be Indian American in the book. I am pretty sure of it. I mean, we have a really cool scientist character, and I want him to remain Indian. Seriously, Hollywood, are you trying to tell me there wasn't a single Indian actor who couldn't play that role? I was seriously disappointed, and I really don't want to dwell on the reasons why they chose not to go with an Indian actor. I will leave it open for discussion in the comments though down below if you'd like to do it, so feel free to ramble on about it. There's also Mindy Park, which I thought she was Asian, but I don't remember like a direct hint in the book about her being Asian except for her last name, Park. So I'm not even going to talk about that. But this one was like... Lastly, I want to talk about a certain scene that was in the book that they left out in the movie. And the scene that I'm talking about is the one that right after Watney makes contact with NASA, he just breaks down and cries. And I felt like that was a really bad scene to take out, because it's literally the only time that Watney acts like a normal human being in that situation. So yeah, I thought that was a bad scene to leave out.
Alright, are you still with me? Yeah? Okay, good.
Now I'm gonna go to the last part of my video. I'm just gonna point out some differences that I saw between the movie and the book. And I'm just like gonna count them down, and hopefully you'll follow me along. Difference number 1. So the first time he logs in the movie is on Sol 19, and in the book is on Sol 6.
I know, it's just a number, but then again, it's just a number. Couldn't they get that one right? Seriously?
And I'm not even going to talk about any more souls, because obviously everything is messed up now, so... Second point is Zhu Tao in the movie is played by a woman, and in the book he's supposed to be a man. Something that kind of stuck with me, I don't know. Also, it's funny to me that in the movie, I think we're led to believe that China helped NASA, being completely selfless, like throwing millions of dollars away to help NASA, and then NASA was very kind to China because they just, you know, allowed a Chinese astronaut to be in the next Ares mission. Not in the next one, but 4, 5 or 6, something like that. But in the book, it's very clear that China only helps NASA with the condition that they put the Chinese astronaut in the Ares mission. So I don't know, that was interesting for me to see. Point 3 is Mitch. Mitch in the movie has to resign, and in the book that doesn't really happen because they couldn't prove that he was the one sending the information back to Hermes on how they can go back to Mars and pick Watney up. And that was sad because I didn't want to see Mitch unemployed, but that was what happened.
But he looked pretty happy playing golf, so...
Point number 4 is Watney never loses contact with NASA in the movie. Point number 5 is the storm and all the shit that happens before Watney gets to the MAV or MAV something. It never really happens. Fine by me. Point 6 is during the scene where he leaves Mars. He's in the MAV, like ready to go up. He's very emotional, much more emotional than he is on the book, and I really like that. I think it makes the scene more powerful. Point number 7 is Captain Lewis or Commander Lewis, whatever you want to call her. She's the one actually going to get Watney, and Watney pokes a hole in his suit to get to Lewis. I don't know, I didn't really like that change, to be honest. Point number 8, the ending scene where he's back in NASA and he's like teaching, he's a teacher now. That's not in the book, but I really like it because it gives more of an ending. Oh, another thing they left out in the movie is how back on Hermes, when they decide to go back to get Watney, and if something goes wrong, they will commit suicide and leave Johansson, I don't know how to say her name. They leave her alive. Like, she was chosen to be the one who left alive.
And how she would survive is basically by eating her colleagues.
I think I know why they left that one out of the movie, but still, it was in the book. It was. I thought it was really funny that the song at the end of the movie, when the credits are rolling, is I Will Survive. And I really like that the opening scene of the movie is like this shot of Mars and the ending scene is a shot of Earth. So that was a really nice touch. This is basically a story about human perseverance, fighting for survival against all odds, and it shows how human race can come together to help one person in need despite prejudice, race, sex, and all that stuff. And this is pretty much it. I don't remember anything else that I would like to say, but then again, I will probably remember when it's too late.
Because let's face it, I'm that person that goes grocery shopping with a list and still forgets to buy stuff.
Thank you so much for sticking around till the very end of this video. Let me know your opinion down below, and I'll see you next time.